welcome back to my channel. In today's video, I want to share with you 10 books that have changed my life. Now, first of all, I just want to be clear that these aren't just my 10 favorite books or 10 books that I like. These are specifically books that I feel have had some specific positive impact on my life and that I would highly recommend to you for that reason. So without further ado, we're going to jump into this stack of what happens to be 10 books. By the way, I didn't choose 10 books intentionally. I just pulled books off the shelf that I felt like had a big impact on my life, and there happened to be 10 of them. So we're going to jump into this stack of books, and I'm going to share with you what each of them are, what it's about, and how it helped me. Also, by the way, these books are roughly in the order that I read them in. I'm not entirely sure about that, but roughly the order I read them in. So this is Rich Dad, Poor Dad. It's a very popular book, mostly about changing your money mindset. I would say that's the biggest point in this book. Specifically is about investing and how to use your money to work for you and to build wealth. And this book came into my life while I was in high school, and I'm very thankful that I read it so early because it really helped me to figure out how I wanted to think about money and to kind of just get off on the right foot. If you haven't read it yet, I would very highly recommend it. It is an easy read and a pretty fun read if you have any interest at all in building your wealth or in money or in finance. So I would highly recommend that you take the time to read this book because it will have a big impact on your financial well-being. Okay, next book in this stack is The 4-Hour Workweek, and I also read this one kind of like right on the tail end of high school, probably right around the time that I graduated. Again, so thankful that I read this early. This book is about a lot of things. It's fairly eclectic book, really. It says, escape the 9-to-5, live anywhere, and join the new rich. So it's really about not waiting for retirement, but creating a lifestyle that you enjoy and that is fulfilling to you now. So it's both about making money and it's also about spending money, but it's also about lifestyle design. So like I said, a pretty eclectic book, but it all works together. It's Tim Ferriss's first book. He's gone on to write a whole bunch of other books that also are really amazing and that I would recommend as well. But this one, if you only read one, read this one. The first one is the best one, and it's just gonna open your eyes to all of the possibilities of alternative ways to make money and to live your life. Next book in my stack is Dave Ramsey's The Total Money Makeover. And this book is a little different than most of the books in this stack because it is like a step-by-step plan. It's like how to make over your money or how to fix your personal finances. So really, it's not like a book that just teaches you something in general. It's certainly not a story. It's, you know, step by step, first do this, then do this. But if you have any sort of money problems, like if you have debt or you can't figure out how to save money or you're spending more than you make, anything like that, this is the book that will help you. Dave Ramsey's a really smart guy who has studied personal finance for a long time and has worked with thousands of people to fix their personal finances. And this book, I mean, it's exactly what it says it is, a total money makeover. It really just takes your personal finances and takes them to the next level and fixes them. It's not really about like how to get rich long term or how to make money or anything like that, but it's just about how to fix your finances and get them in order. Okay, next book, this is a business book. It's called the Personal MBA. And so basically it teaches you everything that you would learn if you went to college to get your master's in business. And I'm really thankful for this book because I started my business so young and I didn't get like a full proper business education by any means. I was mostly bootstrapping and learning as I was going and just kind of figuring stuff out on the fly. So after I'd been running my business for several years was when I read this book, and it really just kind of helped to complete the picture and helped fill in so many missing pieces for my business puzzle and helped me understand actually like how to grow my business from the point where it was up to a much bigger point where I was making a lot more money. Definitely worth reading and worth rereading because there's so much information in it that you can read it multiple times and keep learning more and more. Okay, so now we're going to switch topics. After this period of time in my life, after I graduated from high school, I started my business, all that, then I had some kind of tough things happen to me in my life and I developed an eating disorder. And I had that eating disorder for most of 2 years, and that was one of the hardest things that I have ever faced and ever overcome. And one of the reasons that it was so hard was not just because like on a daily basis dealing with it, but the fact that I couldn't figure out how to fix it or how to overcome it. I just felt so stuck with my eating disorder. So these next two books really helped me fix that. The first one is this book called The Mood Cure. And this book, it says, a 4-step program to take charge of your emotions today. I feel like that doesn't really do it justice. I read this one, and I also read another one by the same author called The Diet Cure. And both of them are about using amino acids. I know this sounds so random, but using amino acids to improve your emotions, improve your mood, and basically to fix your hormones, which really helped me overcome depression and anxiety, and also completely fixed my eating disorder, which was something that seems so impossible because I was craving sugar so badly, and I was just like binging and restricting, and it was awful. Anyway, this book and also The Diet Cure really helped with that. So if you are either struggling with an eating disorder or you're struggling with depression or some other such emotional issue, then I'd really recommend these. I found them so helpful. Next is kind of along that same vein. This book is called The Perfect Health Diet, and I read this book kind of like as I was coming out of my eating disorder, and it really helped me because what had started my eating disorder was I was trying to lose some weight, and so I started going on a diet and it just went all out of control. So then I didn't know what to eat, kind of, but reading this book really helped me understand how to see food as fuel and how to nourish my body properly. This book, it says regain health and lose weight by eating the way you were meant to eat. But what this book is the authors analyzed thousands of different studies that have been done on diets and nutrition and eating, and basically they like collated all of that information. So they put all of the studies together to put the results together and to figure out exactly the right amount of starch that a person should eat, or sugar that a person should eat, or protein, or vitamin C, or calcium. All of the different macro and micronutrients, exactly how much is ideal for a human's health. And yes, it does get kind of technical and complex, but it really helped me to understand that food could nourish my body and could really help my body, and it wasn't just about eating things that taste good or that I want to eat, but instead it's about giving my body the nutrients that it needs. And so in this book there is like a specific prescribed diet that they tell you, like, you can eat this, you know, in this amount. I do not by any means follow that diet, but it just helped to shift my mindset so that I figured out how to eat for myself and understand like what really was healthy and what wasn't. Okay, the next book on this stack is Sorted, and this is actually the book I wrote, but I had to include it in this video because this video is titled Books That Changed My Life. This book definitely changed my life. I won't wax on about it. So basically it's about how to put your household in order, you know, organize, declutter your whole household, but also do the same thing with your schedule so that you're not wasting your time on things that you don't enjoy or things that aren't really worth your time, but you're focusing on your priorities. So it definitely changed my life because it really advanced my career to write it, but also the experience that I had that led me to write this book was a life-changing experience, and I mean that's why I wrote the book. I'm not going to get into the whole story right now because that could be a whole separate video, but basically we were forced to temporarily extremely downsize for several months, and we really enjoyed living with so much less stuff and so much less clutter and having a simpler life. And so after that period of time, when we no longer were being forced to downsize, we chose to continue to live in a very minimalist way. And then I wrote this book about that experience and about how you can choose to do that for yourself, and it doesn't have to be forced on you, but you can choose to minimize your life to be able to focus on your priorities and focus on those things that are really important to you. Okay, so next up is the $100 Startup, and I have two books here, both by Chris Guillebeau. The $100 Startup is basically stories of many different people, dozens of people who started businesses with very, very small budgets and just bootstrapped their growth. And I read this book after I had been running my business for a few years, but it was pretty small, and I was kind of feeling discouraged about how small my business was, and was it even a legit real business, and it, no one else who I knew was doing things like that. So I found this book extremely encouraging and motivational because I saw other people were doing the same thing I was doing, and their stories were so cool and interesting, and their businesses continued to grow and to support their life in a different way than I was kind of assuming or hoping my business would. I was just waiting for my business to grow to this certain level where it was producing an enormous amount of income, and I felt like I was failing until I got to that point. But this book showed me that even when your business is small, if you have the right mindset, you can benefit from that so much, and you can really use your business to be able to have such a flexible lifestyle. So I just found it really encouraging and motivational. And then this book here, The Art of Non-Conformity, also by Chris Guillebeau, it is all about living in an unconventional way. It's actually, in a lot of ways, has the same main idea as the 4-Hour Work Week, although the 4-Hour Work Week gets into lots of practical applications of that, whereas this is more just about the mindset. So I might recommend, if you are interested in reading books like this, reading this one first to kind of get that mindset first and really understand that you don't have to do things just because other people are doing them, but you can create a life that you really love and fulfills you. And then reading the 4-Hour Work Week to get some kind of practical applications of how you could build that life and just some ideas for that. Okay, and the last book in the stack is the book that I read the most recently. And it is The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People by Stephen Covey, a classic in the arena of personal development, and also not about what I thought it would be about at all. I thought it was going to be about habits like waking up early or meditating, things like that, but it's actually more about mindsets almost. Things like being proactive or being a leader or taking the initiative. And I just found it really helpful because, as you can see, it's a pretty big book really and quite dense, but it still was a really enjoyable read. But Stephen really just delivers the value of this book. It's not fluffy at all. He gets into a lot of technical aspects of each of these habits, both in terms of what they actually mean, but also how to really do them in your life. So I just found it an extremely practical way to look at personal development, not so much just motivational or trying to convince you to be better or to improve yourself in some general way, but some really specific ideas for how to improve yourself and actually how to go about making those changes in your life. Okay, so that is book number 10. Those are 10 books that changed my life. I would highly recommend every single one of them, and I will leave links in the description down below where you can find them. If you enjoyed this video, make sure you hit the thumbs up button. Also, I would love for you to leave me a comment in the comments section down below and tell me about a book or several books that have changed your life, and make sure you also tell me how it changed your life. I'm always looking for recommendations on new books to read, and I read several books every month, so I would love to have your recommendations. If you're new here and you haven't subscribed, as always, I would invite you to subscribe. Just click that red button down below, and then you will get to find out when I make another video. I normally make 2 videos every single week on Tuesdays and Thursdays at 6:30 in the morning, and I would love to have you join me for the next one. My name is Gillian Perkins. Thank you so much for joining me for today's video, and I hope to see you again next time.